It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back to it. It is your feel-good breakfast show, live right here on SABC3, giving you that feel-good hump day magic. But right now, it's time for you to put on your chef's hat and break out those ingredients that you never use, because it's time to get baking.
Please excuse me chewing while I'm tasting one of the fries prawns farms, and as someone who's allergic to shellfish, it's quite cool.
I'm glad you're enjoying that.
I don't know if I can remember what prawns tasted like, but it tasted awesome. What I've just
won't
eaten,
kill
so
you.
that's special, man. So here's the thing. Whether you're a pro in the kitchen, I think, or just wanting to try your hand at any dish, the SASKO Jenny Morris Baking Workshop is where it's going down. It's where they will activate something true. In terms of being a baker, I think what it really means to be a baker and get experimental. I've had my eyes opened, dude, how accessible baking can actually be, thanks to Jenny Morris, who is a genius and very lucky Expresso viewers. There were 11 incredible women at this workshop. I feel like I joined the sisterhood.
You were one of the ladies.
I was one of the ladies there and was absolutely blown away by what we were able to create. Take a look at this.
SASKO, baking together since 1930.
Would you like to expand your bread baking knowledge? Well, then this baking boot camp, if you will, is exactly for you. Anyone, and I mean anyone, even those of us who don't have a basic baking knowledge, can learn to bake bread as long as we get the techniques right. And today, SASKO and our superstar Jenny Morris are going to give us the secrets to creating the most delicious bread, some pretty cool recipes, along with some truly phenomenal women. Ladies, are you ready to start baking? Yeah! So all of these very accomplished bakers, they are inspired. What inspired you? Where did your love of baking first begin?
I think it's at your mother's knee, in the kitchen, and we had a wonderful, my mother made beautiful breads, but we had a neighbour who had a guest house called Mrs. Niemand, and I think that's where my passion for bread really began, because they used to make these big farm loaves, and that's where my passion began.
So being in the kitchen again, for me, it feels like home. You know, it feels like bringing everyone together and actually learning about our diversity, our culture, you know, our passion points, and it's just lovely to talk again and for us to actually just build this human connection.
So coming into a workshop like this, where I've been able to see people go on this learning journey before, I was thinking, how much more can you actually learn about baking bread? I've definitely learned something new. I know that yeast and dough itself is a living thing. I now know that if the water's too hot, it'll kill it. If there's too much salt, it'll kill it. And you've got to use quality flour. But once you've got that base dough, that creation to start with, man, you can take it anywhere. By the looks of it, you've got a phenomenal group of women here today, many of whom are already quite accomplished bakers. What are you going to be teaching them? What breads are we going to be creating?
Well, you know what, I always say bread is not just a sandwich, and I want to take bread and give it a life of its own. So we're going to do savoury breads, we're going to do sweet breads, we'll do orange and chocolate, which is really delicious. We're going to do garlic breads, we're going to do Greek breads with feta and spinach. And we'll do a lovely sort of Mediterranean thing with beautiful tomatoes. We'll do focaccia. We're going to just play. We're going to play with this dough because it can be anything you want it to be.
I think I have never thought that you could do sweet with bread dough. So while I was listening to Jenny, I was thinking, whoa, all these types of ideas in my head, like doing the orange and chocolate, throwing some orange syrup over, and so it was just, she was making me actually very hungry.
So it's so important that we as just humans and consumers of bread just remind ourselves that a little bit of flour, a little bit of yeast, a little bit of salt and a little bit of water actually makes this fantastic creation that is, you can do anything with it. So that's why it's really important for us. It's to connect with people and more than that, to give people the opportunity to take ourselves back to our roots and remember where bread actually comes from.
Is there a secret, or what is the secret to creating the best possible bread, the perfect bread, if you will?
Do you know what? I always say it doesn't even have to be bread, but I am going to go back to bread. You start off with the best ingredients, and of course SASKO's been around for 80 years, darling. If it's stood the test of time, it's got to be one of the best flours around.
I'm loving the creations here. What has this experience been like? Have you learnt a lot?
Yes, and we messed up some of them.
But that's what baking is all about.
I learned a lot today from Jenny and from SASKO as is, but I love to bake. I love to bake, and this is wonderful.
Do you know what? What passes my test is the consistency and the quality of the flour. And as I say, you know, if something's been around since my mother has been born, it's got to be good, you know.
Learned so much. I also love baking. That's my everyday job. And I've learned a lot because I've learned that you can actually make bread without egg. And then I've learned the different techniques as well, which was actually very, very interesting because I never knew that salt kills yeast and so on, yeah.
The bread really can be the showstopper. It can be the centerpiece at your table, and there is something about creating bread, just like breaking bread, that is very community-driven, very collaborative, and really creative. Well, they say the proof is in the pudding. I'm saying the pudding is bread, and bread is unbelievable. I don't know if it's the combination of these amazing women, Jenny Morris, maybe the SASKO flour, but today has been nothing short of truly inspirational. My eyes have been opened. I hope at the very least we've educated you on some of the basics of creating a good dough and a fantastic bread, but most importantly, inspired you to go out there and explore all the possibilities that are available in the world of baking, thanks to SASKO. This is awesome. Look at this, guys.
SASKO, baking together since 1930.